obviously narrowing our focus a little bit to the very specific piece of software at hand, which is Delmia, in particular ORTEMs and Aprizo. Obviously, D4M, we're in the industry of digital manufacturing, and when it comes to Dassault products, although virtualization can greatly help that, we are a much smaller scale operation, more often than not focusing on just, as you mentioned before, the practical, the real world planning of so forth. So just for the uninitiated, what exactly is Delmia ORTEMs?
Yeah, Delmia ORTEMs is part of our planning and optimization discipline, if you like. It is a finite capacity scheduling application that allows, generally within the four walls of a manufacturing facility where you might have a job shop or assembly line or production line, it allows the effective scheduling of operations for the orders and products that have been made on those production lines, down to the minute, if you like, in terms of planning scope. ORTEMs is typically used to plan out the next few weeks or down to the day. And so, you might have the most effectively designed production line, that you can possibly get with the best technology, advanced machinery. But the bottom line is, when you start getting orders, you need to plan the sequence of events for those orders as efficiently as you can to minimize changeover times and all the wonderful things that happen when you start actually running production and fulfilling demand through your production assembly operations. And ORTEMs, in a nutshell, is a tool that very effectively develops optimized sequence of events to meet that demand at the best possible in the best possible way according to your KPIs.
More often than not, I often get the terminology confused here. So ORTEMs is an MES functionality with the potential of using APSs. Is that correct?
Not quite. So ORTEMs does not actually have any MES capability, any manufacturing execution systems capability. That's Delmia Aprizo. But ORTEMs is the companion tool to that provides ORTEMs basically says, here's how we're going to make, what we need to in what order over the next day or week or a couple of weeks. Aprizo then executes that.
And but it also is that inherent in its APS capabilities, or is APS something an add-on that is entirely different?
The terminology APS, advanced planning and scheduling, is somewhat of a generic industry term that's been used for the capabilities that plan the sequence of events or plan the production sequence. But that's where APS sort of stops. And the output of the APS or Delmia ORTEMs might be to push the sequence of events and the required material capability and whatever back to the ERP system as a system of record. But then the manufacturing execution system or manufacturing operations management solution, like Delmia Aprizo, would be the one that say, well, now I know what's going to occur in the sequence of events in the schedule. Now I need to execute against that, and that's where the connection is between an APS system or a planning system like Delmia ORTEMs. Figure out what to do when, and then the manufacturing execution system or the MOM system for Delmia Aprizo would say, okay, now here's how I'm going to instruct the workers and the machinery to actually execute that schedule.
And so something else that I've been reading a lot about Delmia ORTEMs is this concept of collaboration. So how exactly does ORTEMs and its various planning procedures allow for or facilitate this sort of collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, like any process, planning process or execution process, there's a lot of different stakeholders involved in actually executing or developing that plan. And so Delmia ORTEMs, like pretty much all of the Dassault applications that we bring to market, have this collaborative ability to connect different people who might be involved in the process of, what orders are we going to need to fulfill? What's the state of our schedules of our shop floor? What is the availability of material? So all of these different stakeholders have a piece to play in developing that schedule. And ORTEMs understands that, and so you have different roles that can, interact with the schedule, the scheduler themselves. You have obviously people on the shop floor that need to see what the schedule is and what they're going to do, and so the collaborative environment allows those people to work from a single set of data. And remember, most companies who have not yet reached the level of automation or have used these sort of tools, and there are a lot of them, are still planning using spreadsheets or manual processes, or the big 10-foot long Gantt chart on a whiteboard still exists for many companies who are trying to schedule manually. And so of course, if you're sending spreadsheets by email between the different stakeholders, that information is out of date as soon as you send it. And a spreadsheet is not a living, breathing sort of source of information. And so the other key aspect of this collaboration is that everyone that's involved in developing that schedule looks at the same view, the same set of data. There's a single version of the truth, which is it's tremendously difficult to manage that when you don't have a system that allows this sort of collaboration around a single consensus plan versus spreadsheets going back and forth on email. So that's really what I think you might see or you might hear about when they talk about the collaboration, is allowing all the different stakeholders as part of the manufacturing scheduling process to sort of see and work from a single version of the truth.
So just out of curiosity, because I know that when it comes to installation, a Prezo, for instance, does not necessarily need to be installed in every plant within one organization. Does ORTEMs work in a similar way?
Well, when you say it doesn't have to be installed, I mean, if you don't have a scheduling problem, then of course you don't need a scheduling solution. But typically, when you think about different types of planning, you obviously have very strategic sort of planning like sales and operations planning, master production scheduling, master production planning. Those typically work across multiple facilities and plants, and they're trying to solve a planning problem that exists across the entire supply chain. When we think of Delmia Prezo and Delmia ORTEMs, they're typically applied within the four walls of a facility. So one manufacturing facility, typically, if you're looking for the ability to do effective planning and scheduling and effective manufacturing execution, you would have a version of Delmia ORTEMs implemented and a version of Delmia Prezo implemented for that one site. Now, obviously, many companies have multiple manufacturing facilities, so you might have that same setup replicated across different facilities as well.